What's up, everyone? Welcome into the FanDuel Sunday Night Fantasy Football Recap. My name's Simon, joined by my co-hosts Joey Wright, Jay Felicio, and John Luke Garofalo. What's up, boys?
Yo!
Children, don't let Cam Akers run the ball inside the 5. Please don't. Just don't let Cam Akers run the ball inside the 5.
As you said that, I looked over and I just see the defender's helmet pop the ball right out.
Boop.
Perfect timing, Joey.
We had a couple good boops today, didn't we? We had some good bonks, a couple good boops, a couple
We got the booty punt.
The booty punt, man. And that image captured by the photographer from USA Today, it was at the exact moment that Trent Sherfield hadn't even realized that ball was.
You know what was
up
happening in his
butthole.
head? You know what he was saying to himself? He was like,
What?
you saw that picture. He's sitting there with his arms up. And so immediately he's just got to be like, what's happening? Like you all of a sudden have a football in your butt? Are you kidding me?
Well, and if you look carefully at the photo, I want you to look carefully. His right foot is off the ground. So I have a theory that if that photo was taken half a second later, there was so much punt velocity on that ball that it actually lifted him airborne. But we just saw it as that right foot.
It looks like
came
he's
off
about
the
to
ground.
take off.
Exactly.
Like his little crouch pose. It looks like he's about to blast off.
It was his turn to be launched, and it's the daddy punter launching them across the football field one at a time, just kicking punts up their butts to see how far he can get them downfield.
I've got the picture.
Kicking
Do you
punts
want
up
to
their
put it
butts.
up on the screen real quick?
Yeah, we can throw it up there, Jay.
Throw it up.
Let's spend. How long can we spend talking about the butt punt?
Yeah, can we describe it with our words instead of just looking at it?
We're talking about the punt in the Dolphins game, right?
Yeah, out of the end zone.
Okay.
While you're pulling that up, Jay, we got Albert in here. What's up, Albert?
What up,
Welcome
Albert?
in. Glad to have you here.
Good evening,
And guys,
Albert.
while we're talking about these games today, we are going to be breaking down all of today's games, going through the fantasy implications. While we do that, if you have questions for us, any fantasy football questions, start sits from tonight's game, just let us know, and we will gladly answer those for you. Jay, can you get a little zoom in on that for us?
Yeah, let me see if we can get in there.
There we go. Oh, man. You see?
There it is.
Fully lodged. You can't even see the right
wow.
foot here, but I'm telling you, that right foot is off the ground.
It looks like there's like steam or smoke coming out of his bum right there.
He doesn't even know that ball is in his butt yet. Like
guys-
in this exact moment, he doesn't
guys-
know it, but in 0.1 seconds, he's going to know. But right now, this is the moment of impact before it has even reached his brain to let him know football in butt.
You guys think he farted?
Oh, without a doubt. How do you not know?
Had to, right?
Yeah, like if you feel that impact there, if he's eaten anything in the last 3 days, he just let that out entirely.
I get up from the couch and I fart. You're telling me I get hit in the in the butt with a football from a professional punter?
Absolutely. We have a lot of games to get
Is he
over. I'm
still
sure
able
we'll
to?
have
That's
time
the
for more butt punt talk throughout today's
I
show.
hope so.
But before we get into the games from today, I want to remind everyone of a couple of things. First, if you're watching this show, that means you're probably already on the FanDuel YouTube or Twitch channels. If you're on Twitch, hit that follow button. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to FanDuel on YouTube. You might be watching from Facebook as well. If you are, make sure you hit that follow button over there. And then check out FanDuel across all their platforms. They're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, at FanDuel across all of those. And if you're not sick of us by the end of this show, head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. We play games and give fantasy analysis over there. You're going to want to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss out on the fun and the football talk we got going on.
Every
over
morning
there.
we're live there. Every morning we got 3 hours of good talk, good fantasy talk.
And hog talk.
Hog talk.
JL, we're going to that word didn't come out right. JL, we're going to draw into our first game here. Which is actually the Ravens versus the Patriots. Ravens coming out on top in this one, 37-26.
Yes, this game, man, we had our show this morning, our pregame with FYF, and I thought this game was going to go differently. I thought that the Ravens were going to be limited somewhat by the Patriots. Not that I thought they'd be shut down, but I thought that, this would be a more low-scoring game. I believe I predicted that we'd take the under. Which did not occur. The Ravens 37-26. Patriots. Lamar Jackson had a really good game. 18 completions for 29 attempts, 218 yards. He threw 4 touchdown passes and then ran them in. It was a pretty good game. Rashad Bateman was not there. 2 receptions for 59 yards. and 0 touchdowns, 4 targets. What do you guys think about what were your guys' thoughts watching Lamar Jackson and Rashad Bateman this week?
Watching Lamar Jackson, I mean, what can your thoughts be just besides good God almighty, this dude's good at football, right? He took a gamble on himself this year, not signing the contract offered to him by the Ravens. And so far, looks like it was the right choice, right? Like if he keeps playing like this throughout the season, he gets to name his price. He gets to put that price tag on there and the Ravens will pay it or somebody else will. So man, I'm just happy for him watching him ball out in this offense. And you know what? Yeah, it was not the week for Rashad Bateman sitting there, 4 targets, 2 receptions, 59 yards, but that's going to happen. We know that about this Ravens offense, right? And it looked like they saw something with the tight end position because it wasn't just Mark Andrews getting in on it. They had other tight ends getting in on the fun too. And that's the direction they went in this game. With Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman in a team with Lamar Jackson, you're going to see weeks like this from both those guys, but you still got to start him week in, week out. You can't bench Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, Mark Andrews is the main target. He always is. So I feel like week in, week out, he's the guy. But he was a massive chunk of this target share this week. 8 receptions on 13 targets. 13 targets. The team had 32 total targets, which is like 49% of the target share going to Mark Andrews. Also had the 2 touchdowns. I don't think you can bench Mark Andrews. I don't think anyone's asking that question. So I'm not sure why I answered it. But Rashad Bateman, I think, is one of those guys who week in and week out, you're going to have to make that decision.
Man, I just don't. When I'm looking at my lineups and the players that I could plug in instead, there's not much more than a receiver, the top wide receiver, not top receiving option in an offense like this Ravens team that I want to plug into my lineup. Like I'm okay with taking games like this, knowing what the upside is for a player like Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I was really surprised with Mark Andrews because we had talked about, the Patriots, they always take away the best option for the teams. And maybe the Patriots thought Rashad Bateman was the best option because Mark Andrews just balled out today. So I foolishly, I moved him down to my tight end rankings. So I was like, the Patriots are going to limit him. But no, Andrews looked dynamite today.
Yeah, it seemed like Lamar Jackson was getting pressured a ton too throughout the game. They were blitzing and he was definitely feeling the pressure, but Lamar Jackson always has that run game that he can lean on, which is nice. But man, looked dynamic today. It didn't seem like I wonder if, here's what I was thinking as I was watching the game is I wonder if Bill Belichick was trying to shut down Andrews or if like he shifted strategies and Andrews was just outplaying him.
I don't know. I don't know. I would find it hard to believe that was their strategy and they failed this spectacularly. That's just a trust in Belichick as a coach, right? Like I have to believe that if their goal was to shut down Mark Andrews, he wouldn't have had this kind of game. Not that he wouldn't have gotten into the end zone, right? But 13 targets, 8 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. Like that's not a Bill Belichick trying to shut this player down kind of game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Mac, on the other side of the ball, Mac Jones going down in the last 2 minutes of this game with a leg injury. Throughout the game, he completed 22 of 32 passes for 321 yards. He did throw 3 interceptions. What do you guys think about this injury? Are you concerned at all?
Yeah, absolutely. The way
Went straight in the locker room.
Yeah, he limped off the field and was hobbling. It did not look good at all. So if you have Mac Jones more in probably 2 quarterback leagues, I would be a little concerned for him. More than a little concerned, actually.
What about the league where my 2 starting quarterbacks are Justin Fields and Mac Jones, and I don't have any other quarterbacks on my roster? Are you concerned for that team?
I think you should take up fishing, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that might be a good hobby for you, Simon.
Yeah, I'm not feeling good about that.
Is it at least dynasty? So
no, it is a
season. You get
it is a redraft league. It is a redraft league where I really got cute, and I punted on quarterback. Like it just kept on punting, and I waited 1 round too long, and this is where we ended up. Yeah. But for real, no, you got to be concerned about the Mac Jones injury. Not good for him. Not good for the receiving options there. I know he didn't have the best game today, but he still threw for over 300 yards, right? Like these receiving options are eating because of Mac Jones right now. I'm not sure what this offense looks like without him in it right now.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So, and then Albert in here coming in saying, what did you make of J.K. Dobbins today? Simon, you were predicting the J.K. Dobbins bounce back. What were your thoughts on the run game for the Ravens?
I wouldn't call it a bounce back. I would call it like an entrance. I was expecting a grand entrance from J.K. Dobbins into the 2022 season today. And that really came from watching these previous Ravens game and seeing how much they missed having a true RB1. Like that just wasn't a position for them the last 2 weeks. Week 1, kind of Kenyon Drake, right? With 11 carries. But then he dropped back down to, I think it was 6 carries in week 2. And Lamar Jackson, now 2 weeks in a row, has been the leading rusher from a carries perspective for this team. I saw that and thought they're going to want to get J.K. Dobbins involved, but it looks like what you were saying this morning, what Joey was saying this morning, they're trying to ease him back in. He looked good when he had the ball. They still won this game. They're allowing him to take his time getting back on the field, try not to get that re-injured. J.K. Dobbins is full force ahead next week, though. Plug him into your lineups.
Absolutely. I had him really low in my running back rankings, not because I don't think he's talented, but just because I want to see it I want to see 1 week of it and shake the rust off. He did. He got out of there without injury. So next week I'll have him probably as a top. I need to look at the matchups next week, but definitely starting running back next week.
Another interesting little tidbit from this game was Justin Tucker. He kicked a 56-yard field goal, and it happened to be his 50th 50-plus yard of his career, according to ESPN, which I thought was kind of interesting. Now I got the Justin Tucker helmet now up in the background.
Beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Little mini helmet.
But Tucker's a Hall of Famer, right? Not many kickers make it in.
It's gotta be.
Yep.
Yeah, without
Okay,
doubt.
Jay, I have a question for Jay specifically, because you just said without a doubt, right? Okay, you can only pick one to make the Hall of Fame. The other one doesn't get in ever, okay? Eli Manning or Justin Tucker? Eli Manning over Justin, maybe the best at his position of all time. So what you're saying is kickers don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
That's exactly what I'm saying. No, that's not what I'm saying whatsoever. But
that's
two-time. I think Justin Tucker deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, 100%, but not over 2-time Super Bowl MVP Eli Manning.
Wow. Honestly, just a little bit offensive that you would even bother to say that about Justin Tucker.
Yeah. He's got a beautiful voice as well. He's an opera singer. Not sure if you ever heard that.
I've
One thing I did want to
only ever
add to talking about Mac Jones, if he is out the next game, expect New England to lean even heavier on the run, could bump up both Damien Harris and Ramondre Stevenson into RB2 territory, which for me, Damien Harris was already there, but you have to like what you saw to Ramondre Stevenson today.
Absolutely.
Had led the team in carries, in rushing yards, got a touchdown, and he got the work in the passing game, which he had not been getting recently up until this point in the season. Damien Harris still got some work. He still had 3 targets, which is you like to see. But this was a big game for Ramondre Stevenson, and we could see more of a 1-2 punch from these two guys.
Yeah, what do you think about their the split going forward, Joey? You think they're going to continue?
Yeah, I don't think that we're going to see one of these backs get a lion's share of the workload, especially because they play on the Patriots, not the Lions. No, I don't know. But I do think, it's kind of like an easy answer to make. But if it were PPR, I'd rather have Stevenson, and if it's standard, I want to have Harris. I still think Harris is going to get the goal line work going forth. So that's who I would rather have in those two situations.
I know we're talking about the running backs here, but I want to talk about the surprise rusher in this game. I swear, I have not seen Mac Jones look that mobile at any point in his NFL career. He had a couple good runs today, like down the sideline, like ones where he just kind of took off, made some good plays. And then on that 2-point conversion attempt, I know Ramondre Stevenson's knee was down before he pitched the ball to Mac Jones, but Mac went for it. Like balls to the wall, went for it to get in on that play. I was like, okay, Mac Jones, like you just made a little bit more of a fan out of me with how hard he went for it on that 2-point conversion. Didn't count, but that's a slippery noodle right there. He made it in.
Slippery noodle. The announcer, it was so funny. Like the announcers and that, they just got so hyped watching him go for it on that play. I was enjoying it through them. On the receiving side of the Patriots, Devonte Parker had a pretty good game. 10 targets, 5 receptions, 156 yards, 20.6 PPR fantasy points. Are you surprised by that, Jay?
No, because this is what Devonte Parker does. He had a disappointing season so far, got an opportunity, had a good game, and as soon as you put him in your lineup, he's going to disappoint again. I've been a Devonte Parker fan for many years, and this is what he always does. He's got the talent, but, this was without Jacoby Myers on the field. So I'm, if you've got an empty spot at the end of your bench. Maybe throw Devonte Parker at the end of it, but other than that, I'm not really interested.
It makes sense. I'm not surprised at all. I'm really not surprised. Like if you look at the top 10 wide receivers on this week, it's all the names we expected to be there, right? You got Mac Hollins, you got Zay Jones, you got Chris Olave, Romeo Doubs, Isaiah McKenzie, Devonte Parker, Tyler Boyd. Like all of this just makes sense. It's exactly what we expected as fantasy managers going into this season. And it's what's happening. It's what's playing out. It's really nice to kind of see that hard work we put in kind of play out the way that we expected it to.
Joey, who would you rather have on your fantasy team? Dortch or Greg Dortch? Or Devonte Parker?
Dortch. Yeah, I think once Jacoby Myers is back, Devonte Parker goes back to getting maybe 5 targets a game, 3 receptions. Like this game's nice for him. He'll be kept a game ball, put it on the shelf. It's wonderful that you got to have this moment in your life. I don't see it happening like this going forth for him.
I feel like every time somebody brings up Dortch, we have to break out in a Dortch chant. Yeah, like, no matter what, no matter, just Dortch every time.
Excuse me. We're going to move on to our next game. The next game we're talking about, man, I heard the announcers call it an instant classic as it was going on, and it lived up to the hype. The Bills-Dolphins game. Bills coming out on top. Or no, Dolphins coming out on top 21-19 in this one.
Yeah, Tim. Sorry. Yeah, Tim. Congratulations. Yeah, Dolphins won 21-19. Miami wins a back and forth game, although it didn't come easy. The Dolphins botched a punt with 1:37, which we had a picture up earlier, left on the clock, which led to a safety, giving Josh Allen a chance to drive the field. Sadly for Bills fans, they came up short with Miami winning 21-19. Guys, the Miami Dolphins are 3-0. They're leading the AFC East.
It's wild. It's wild.
Do you think the Bills eventually take it back? Or can the Dolphins actually win this division this year?
I think the Bills take it back. I think the Bills are going to get their defense back, and they're going to be all right. The Dolphins had to fight hard to win this game. They had to fight hard, and I'm not taking anything away from the Dolphins. But it's gonna be tough. I don't know that the Dolphins are gonna be able to continue to keep this up throughout the season. I don't know that they're a better team holistically than the Bills.
And
I don't know.
One thing.
Go ahead, Simon.
The one thing I will say is Dolphins are in the driver's seat right now, right? Like they have control of this division. And when you look at the outside of the division schedule, the Dolphins have an easier schedule than the Bills, just based on how the NFL creates their schedules. The Bills are playing more good teams from last season, more playoff-bound teams from last season than the Dolphins are this year. Like, I'm not saying the Dolphins are going to win this division, but they have an easier schedule rest of the year. They don't really play another tough defense for the next 5-6 weeks, so they should get out ahead. Like, I'm imagining they keep this division lead, and then it comes down to, do they stumble? Because they're in the lead. They have the position to maintain. The Bills are responsible for overtaking them. I would not be surprised if the Dolphins win this division, just because of that, right? The situation benefits them.
I do think heat was a factor today on that field. They said it was over 100 degrees on the field, and you're kind of seeing that with Green Bay and Tampa Bay as well. Just the heat on the field is just wrecking these guys.
Bees. Did you see the bees on the field? What the hell? You couldn't pay me to play football on a field with that many bees. It was insane.
Oh my God. I would have been gone. Forrest Gump running, just run past the end zone into the locker room and then out of the stadium.
It's like Giselle's doing anything to get Tom Brady to stay at home. Like, just put bees on the field now. Come on.
Like you were talking about with the heat, I think that you also have to take that into consideration for if the Dolphins are going to be able to finish this season strong. As the weather starts to get colder, going up to Buffalo, is this type of offense going to be able to work? Buffalo did lose the game. I think you have to give Miami, the first shot at being considered the favorites for this division, but they were also able to get 115 rushing yards. When this weather gets nasty, Buffalo's able to run the ball. Yes, it's Josh Allen. It's, they don't have that guy, but is Miami going to be able to do the same?
Yeah, that's a good point, Jay. Looking at the Dolphins side of the game, I know we're all wondering, did River Crackcraft score another touchdown? Yes.
I was wondering.
He did.
I woke up wondering that.
2 weeks in a row now. Which
2 weeks in a row.
Just stop it. I don't want to answer a single River Carcraft question this week, but I know we're going to get him now because he's done it 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row. I think this might be the end for him as far as touchdowns in consecutive weeks, but you never know.
You mean you're not counting on the guy who did it on one target for 11 yards and a touchdown to do it again next week?
I'm not.
Who's a Hall of Famer, Carcraft or Justin Tucker?
Eli Manning. Next question.
Tua had he was 13 for 18, 186 yards passing, 1 touchdown. He briefly did leave the field at the end of the first half. If you saw that, you saw it. I guess there is going to be an investigation into whether he should have been in the game or out. So we'll leave that to the NFL Players Association.
Well, if you saw him, like, he should not have come back on the field that quickly. He was stumbling around. I was scared. Like, truly,
linemen hold him up. Like, that was
after that hit.
scary.
Like, it was scary. Like, he looked a little bit lost. I was shocked when I saw him back out on the field. Hopefully he's okay. And if there was something wrong there, hopefully they do something about that process, because that was scary for Tua.
Absolutely. Chase Edmonds did have 2 rushing touchdowns, but he only had 21 yards. So while those touchdowns are nice, the yardage is a little concerning. Jalen Waddle had 4 receptions for 102 yards. He led the team in targets as well. Tyreek Hill, 2 for 33. Not that great. Quiet day. So, guys, we're 3 weeks removed. I want to go around the room. I want to hear from each of you. Which Dolphins receiver do you prefer going forth? Let me give you the numbers. Jalen Waddle, 30 targets, 342 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, 29 targets, 317 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. Let's start with Simon. Who do you want going forth?
Both. That's the real answer. I'm going to choose one. I know I have to choose one, Joey. That's the game you're making me play, but the real answer is both. Both of these guys are going to be great rest of season. It looks like this offense is going to keep chucking the ball around, and Tua is able to sustain 2 fantasy relevant wide receivers. I'll take Jalen Waddle on a weekly basis, because I think the consistency is going to be a little bit higher for Jalen Waddle without sacrificing much upside. You know what I mean? Like, we see the upside for both of these guys. Tyreek Hill may have a slightly higher ceiling, but it doesn't compensate for that floor in my eyes. I'll take Waddle, but man, you're sitting pretty if you've got either of these guys on your team.
JL?
Ooh, yeah, I think for me, I'm gonna go Jalen Waddle, unless it's a non PPR or standard league. I would go Tyreek Hill.
That's fair.
What about half-point PPR?
I'm gonna go Waddle.
Yeah, it's going to be a clean sweep for Waddle for me. I've said this a few times. Clean sleep. I think it's very similar to the situation last year with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I think they both have an extreme upside. I think Tyreek Hill, like Simon said, has the ability to have those just absolute blow-up nuclear games where Jalen Waddle may not have that, but he's still got, his ceiling is still pretty high and his floor is much higher than Tyreek Hill. So I'm going to go Waddle as well.
Yeah, for me, it comes down to touchdown dances, so it's Jalen Waddle for me. I agree with you guys. I have all your points. Looking at the Bills side of the ball, fun fact, the Bills have started every game this NFL season with a successful touchdown drive to open the game, so that's really cool. Stats, Josh Allen passed 400 yards, 2 passing touchdowns while adding 47 rushing yards. Devin Singletary, 9 receptions, 78 yards, and a touchdown, tied for the team league in targets. How comfortable are you guys starting Devin Singletary week to week going forth?
As comfortable as you can be for a back in a committee. Know what I mean? Like if we put all the backs that are in a committee backfield into one big pile, take away AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, or Devonte Williams, I think Devin Singletary's up there as the ones you can be the most comfortable with, right? Like, he looks good when he has the ball. This is a high-powered offense, so opportunities are going to be there. So he's got that upside, just he's not going to get enough carries to be consistent week in, week out.
Yeah, for me, he's like the Darrell Henderson, the Damien Harris, like that guy, where going to get probably the majority carries in the backfield, a couple of targets here or there, and you're happy if he gets a touchdown.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I agree with you guys. But I think he's definitely the established number one there, and so I'm fine starting him week in and week out because he's on this really good team, and he's the number one. So I'm totally fine with that.
He's the only running back that would start on the Bills. I'll tell you that right now.
I keep wondering if Buffalo is just like trying to play, like a tough parent with Devin Singletary. They keep bringing these running backs in to say, all right, they're going to get the starting job, and Devin Singletary keeps winning the job out. So it's good to see from Singletary for sure. Stefan Diggs had 7 receptions for 74 yards. And he dealt with cramping in the fourth quarter, which kind of limited him a little bit. Isaiah McKenzie, 7 receptions, 76 yards and a touchdown. It was his second touchdown of the season. And Gabriel Davis only 3 receptions for 37 yards. It's a disappointing 2 weeks for any Davis managers following his week 1 usage and what we saw from him there. And then last week he was out. So while Stefan Diggs is the surefire wide receiver number 1 on this team, after 3 weeks, who is the second option on this team for targets? Is it still Gabriel Davis? Or?
I think it is going to be Gabriel Davis, but this is exactly what, like, the people that weren't necessarily in on Gabriel Davis at the beginning of the year, this is exactly what we were talking about, right? You're going to get these massive, crazy 2 touchdown games, but you're also just going to get these stinkers. He's not going to be consistent wide receiver 2 and how this team wants to use him. So I'm not like, I think Gabe Davis is still the number 2. I think he's going to have a great season. I think you're going to have to put up with a couple weeks like this from him. That being said, he was also coming back off injury, right? Like, he was questionable to even play in this game. So you can add that factor in there as well. I think this is just part of the people who draft Mike Williams know what the Mike Williams experience is, right? You get some goose eggs, you get some 40-point games. It's all part of having Mike Williams on your team. I think Gabe Davis, you're going to become familiar with what the Gabe Davis experience is on your team. It's not just smooth sailing 18 points a game.
Do you think it's a more of a 2-man race now with Crowder's seems like he's kind of pushed himself to the back of the heap?
I mean, Craig's not in here if we're talking bad about Crowder. So
he's doing great in the return game, but as far as in the receiving game, he hasn't been used much the last couple of weeks. So
no, I think they like McKenzie more in that slot role. He's more athletic. He wins in more matchups. So I think they like using McKenzie, and it's fun seeing how they're chucking the ball to him down that field. Like they're giving McKenzie just toss up balls one-on-one and saying, go up and get it. And he's doing it. And he'll continue to see targets throughout the season, but I'd put Gabe Davis at that 2 spot still.
I think it's going to be game to game. Honestly, I think Gabe Davis is probably in the lead, but a 2A, 2B situation, if you will. I think that McKenzie is going to be involved. I think we're like Simon. I think you said it perfectly. You're going to have these games. You're going to have and why I was not willing to draft Gabe Davis where he was going. I think he is going to have those blow up games, but he's going to have plenty of these thinkers as well. And he's not somebody that, I think is going to be consistent enough to pay back his ADP that he was going in draft season.
Yeah. Before we answer some of these questions in the chat, there was one very important thing I need to bring up. Joe, you mentioned if they're taking the tough parent approach for Devin Singletary.
Yes.
What parents are bringing in other children and telling their kids, if you don't become a better kid, I'm replacing you? Your parents?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good trick. I need to write that one down. Just like ask your friends if you can borrow their kid, bring a kid over and be like, hey, you're not fired yet, but just so you know, like, I brought in a replacement just in case. Yeah. Let them know. That's a trick.
Timmy, go check his bread out. See if it's good. You want, different comforter, what you want.
So your parents never told you had a twin and they had to get rid of him because they wasn't a good kid? Your parents never said that to you? They
never said that one to me. No, they did. They did tell me that they loved my neighbor's kids more than me sometimes when I was being really bad. But I guess that's in the same vein. It probably was true. Man, my neighbors were delightful as well, and I was a menace as a child. Before we move on to our next game, the Chiefs-Colts game, which I'm excited to talk about, I wanted to hit some of these questions we got here in the chat. First one, Loaf came in here and said, would you trade Mclaurin for Hollywood? So, Joey, would you trade Terry McLaurin for Marquis Hollywood Brown?
I would. The more I see out of Washington, I'm starting to want to just get away from McLaurin.
Get out from underneath him. What about you, JL?
I would also make this trade. I'm glad to see that he had a good game today, but Hollywood Brown to me is just a level up. That offense is a step up from the Washington offense, but I want the wide receiver 1 for that offense. Now, once DeAndre Hopkins comes back, it'll probably be more of like a 1A, 1B type of situation, but I would make this trade.
Loaf,
even though
clean sweep.
Go ahead.
My only problem here, Loaf, is I think you're a week late. I don't think after Hollywood's game this week that whoever you're trying to trade this with is going to accept that anymore. You're trying to trade for Hollywood right after his big game, right? Like the big game, his first one of the year. It's going to be tough. Maybe this person really believes in McLaurin, but that might be a tough trade to pull off. Jay, I want to come to you first on this one. Steven Young says Jimmy G, 2 TDs. Are we getting 2 touchdowns from Jimmy G tonight, Jay? Jimmy G tonight, Jay.
Jimmy G tonight, Jay. Yes, we are. And I'm not saying that because I need him in a few leagues. That has nothing to do with it whatsoever. But I do. He looked good. Like you said, he's familiar with this offense. That was one of the best things about this from a fantasy perspective, we never want to see anybody get hurt. Trey Lance go down, but it's not like a regular backup stepping into an offense that they have to get comfortable. Jimmy G knows this offense. He's got George Kittle coming back. I think you're going to see at least 2, if not more.
Yeah. I don't know. And that's my full answer here. I am so confused by the Broncos, just like as a team, that like I have such a hard time predicting anything that's going to happen in those games. Like I'm just wildly bewildered. And then with the 49ers, like week 1, we watched them lose to the Bears in the rain, like in a monsoon. I just feel like I have such limited data on them. And now Jimmy G is getting plugged back in and George Kittle's back. Like, sure, 2 touchdowns for Jimmy G, but like this game, I have no clue what's going to happen here. That's my official analysis.
In my single game lineup for FanDuel for the Broncos and 49ers tonight, I started both defenses because I think this has like 13-9 written all over it.
Oh, gross. Joey with the
opposite.
13-9.
I think we're going to have a high-scoring affair tonight.
Well,
I hope it's that type of game.
Yeah, me too.
No, I hope I sit in bed, stay up late, and it was boring the whole time. like I hope I stay up past my bedtime. I'm grumpy all day tomorrow.
Defensive guys aren't bored.
No, but
all those
happens,
defense lovers.
Yeah,
did you see that tackle?
God, I love touchdowns. Joey, that was a really good Craig impression.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, interception, baby.
Whoa,
like that.
You see that block? Jurassic Park. That was my Craig impression.
Jurassic Park at the end.
Slick Vic, what's up? Welcome in. Glad to have you in here.
Hey, Slick
and
Vic.
We had a question from Zaman here, just said thoughts on Eckler. So wants to know some thoughts on Eckler. I wanted to jump in here and say something on this. We'll probably talk about this game a little bit later, but there was just a stat that they said during the broadcast that I wanted to bring up. It's not just an Eckler problem. It is a Chargers rushing game problem down to its core. On 15 of 55 rushing plays going into the game today. So from 2 weeks, they'd run 55 running plays. On 15 of those 55, they went for 0 or negative yards. That's insane. That's absurd. That shows some sort of problem. Eckler's still great. Eckler's still a phenomenal football player. I think this offense gets it together a little bit better, figures out the run game. They have to if they want to compete in their division. And Eckler will be fine. Just keep on rolling him out there. Are any of you guys more concerned for Austin Eckler?
I'm not concerned for Eckler as much as I am for where I drafted him. Because if you drafted Eckler, you took him in the first round, possibly even in Superflex league. So he's definitely not returning on your investment, and that's a little nerve wracking.
He's not returning yet. Jay, what about you?
No, I'm pretty much with what you said. And honestly, I don't have many shares of Eckler because of the cost. I feel like he was being drafted at his ceiling. I don't really see what more he could have done to improve on his season last year. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be a back-end RB1 when the season is all said and done. But, it's going to take some time, and you have to take into consideration, too, Justin Herbert wasn't himself dealing with injury. The second game of the season, they play on a short week, which is notorious for running backs not being the best. So I think Eckler's going to be fine.
Geek Hippie in here saying, what's up? What's up, Geek Hippie?
Geek?
Welcome.
What up, Geek?
Let's hit one more question before we talk about this Chiefs-Colts game. I can't wait too much longer. Seth in here said, should I trade Jared Goff, Dalvin Cook, Cortland Sutton for Justin Herbert, Mike Evans, and Breece Hall? That's one hell of a trade you're trying to push through, Seth. Everyone's saying you should do that?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, upgrade at wide receiver, upgrade at quarterback, downgrade at running back, but Breece should be an ascending value, so I love this trade, Seth.
Yeah, great trade.
Yeah.
This is
that
a pretty good
major upgrade with Herbert is what makes me just smash accept on this.
Absolutely. And let's hit one more because this one's important. They're making these decisions right now as we look into it. No one said, should I start Jeff Wilson or Kittle in that flex spot? Kittle, first game back from injury, or Jeff Wilson, the replacement starting running back for Elijah Mitchell?
Me, Jeff Wilson.
I was going to say, JL, I have a feeling we're going to go opposite ways based on our J.K. Dobbins takes this morning. And maybe I'm just a guy who doesn't learn his lesson, but I'm going George Kittle. If George Kittle plays, he's in my lineup. He's so good.
I think that's
I'm
totally
going to play
fair.
George Kittle here.
Totally
what about
fair.
you
a little
guys,
more
Joey? Break the tie.
I'm going to go Jeff Wilson. My thing when guys are coming back from an injury, I want to give them a week. and you have an option here. It's not like you're starting, some scrap off the heap. I mean, you got Jeff Wilson, so who was a scrap off the heap last week, but
that was so nice of you, Joey. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said about him.
Yeah.
Simon, I'm with you. I'm going to go George Kittle. The only thing I will say, if you need 7-8-ish points to win your week, go Jeff Wilson. He's a lot more likely to hit that relatively easy, but George Kittle's definitely the upside play.
Craig, I think Joey loved your impression of him. He said, well, then.
Well, then.
Well, then. On that note, we're going to jump into this next game. Just like everyone predicted, the Colts, I believe our exact words on the morning show this morning, Joey, JL, was there's no way in hell the Colts can beat the Chiefs, right? Like I think we said that out loud.
I said well, they're playing at home. that's all I can muster up. So,
yet here we are, 2017. Indianapolis Colts took down the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, the Chiefs really did it to themselves. Overall, this game was a bit of a drag from an offensive perspective. Only 574 total yards of offense. Going into the half, the Chiefs were up, but there was a little bit, I don't know if you guys saw, a scuffle, not a fight, but, a little bit of a disagreement between offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes. The last drive of the second quarter, they were going down the field about the 47-yard line. Patrick Mahomes has 2 quick incompletions, and Bieniemy was comfortable with the lead, decided to run the ball and just run the clock out. And Patrick Mahomes was not happy with that decision. And I thought that because I was watching this game, like, is this going to come back to bite them? Is that the reason they lost? Not necessarily, but they definitely could have used a few more points at the end of this game. Because last drive, 5 minutes left in the game, 3rd and 7, quarterback sack, Matt Ryan goes down, but an unsportsmanlike conduct call from Chris Jones. He was all up in Matt Ryan's face, talking junk while he was on the ground. He got up, he was doing the same, and he must have said something because the ref was right there. He threw it up, gave them an automatic first down, which led to the second touchdown reception and the game-winning touchdown from not Michael Pittman, Jelani Woods, of all people. Yeah, Jelani Woods. So it
just
was
like we all drew it up.
Exactly.
That that unsportsmanlike call was the best play from Matt Ryan the entire game. That play, getting that penalty from him, that was him. He put the work in to get that one. Know what I mean? It wasn't Chris Jones failing. Matt Ryan earned that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, looking at the Chiefs side of the ball, Patrick Mahomes had an okay day, 262 passing yards, 1 touchdown to who else? Travis Kelce. Had an interception trying to come back at the end of the game, but he did wind up leading the Chiefs in rushing with 24 rushing yards. So obviously not that great of a day on the ground for the Chiefs. CEH had an interesting stat line. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 7 carries, 0 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, but he was tied for the team lead with 5 catches, 5 targets, 39 yards, and he had 14.9 points in PPR leagues. Now, CEH has had an interesting start to the season. He's averaging 17.7 points per game, but he has a total of 116 rushing yards on the year. He's being used in the passing game, which you definitely like to see, but he's behind Jerick McKinnon in snap percentage, in red zone carries, but he's actually out-targeting him by 8 targets to 6. What do you guys think? Is CEH a buy, a sell, or a hold?
Man, it's tough because he's getting goal line work, which he struggled with last year. But I mean, if you have anybody in your league that's just looking at the numbers, just for the fantasy points and not at what he's doing on the field, I would honestly be trying to sell him to whoever would take him for something comparable.
Yeah, it's just too much weirdness. It's too much weirdness that we're getting from CEH. He shows flashes of greatness. I'm worried. I think that this is going to be a coin flip, whether he can either trend up or down in a long-term keyframe.
This is one of those ones where I'm mad because it feels like each week now, going into this week, the week after, and now week 3, good process says don't start CEH. He's not getting the work. He's not on the field enough. He's not even the running back on the field the most for the Chiefs through the first 2 weeks. I don't have the snap share count for this week, but I'd be willing to bet it's still not him. Jerick McKinnon's the running back that's on the field the most often for the Chiefs. CEH second in snap shares behind him. Everything says don't start him, but this Chiefs offense is great and he's getting high value touches. So probably just a high variance player, but what we're seeing from him is well within his range of outcomes because of the team he plays on. I guess if you made me pick, he's a sell. I don't want that player on my team. There's too much volatility. And like Joey said, if people are just looking at the numbers, but man, you might just look silly at the end of the year if he keeps on doing this, right? Because he is on the Chiefs offense.
Yeah, I would say he's somewhere in between the sell and the hold. The one thing I will say is you love to see the usage in the red zone, like Joey said, and you really like to see the targets. I was really shocked when I saw that he was out targeting Jerick McKinnon. But like you said, Simon, I think it's about 2 percentage points of snap share on the season that McKinnon has over CEH. So it's close. Basically a split, and you don't want to see that. But where you drafted CEH, he was going really late in drafts, so you might just be better off holding on to him for that chance that he is becoming that guy that, he's never going to be the potential RB1 on the season that everybody was hyped up about his rookie season. But I think he can be a solid RB2 more. I would rather have him as RB3 or your flex play, but he continues to put up okay numbers. But with that being said, Travis Kelce, speaking of okay, had an okay day, 4 catches, 58 yards, but his day was saved by an early touchdown. He had another one that this close to catching, but I thought it was pass interference. They didn't call it. But Juju Smith-Schuster was tied with the most catches with 5 catches, 89 yards, tied Travis Kelce for the team leading targets, with 8. While he's been disappointing from a fantasy perspective so far, he does have 8 targets in 2 of his 3 games in an offense that's still trying to figure out who the wide receiver 1 is on this team, life post Tyreek Hill. Now, obviously, Travis Kelce is going to be the top option on this offense from a receiving perspective, but just like CEH, I'm going to go to you guys again. Is Juju a buy, sell, or a hold?
Every time.
Go ahead, Joe.
I know. I was just say every single time I saw Juju Smith-Schuster break off a big play, in my head I was imagining Simon was just screaming at his TV like, "Yes, Juju!"
Every time. As someone who was very in on DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, and Juju Smith-Schuster, it has been a rough start of the season. So seeing today, I know it wasn't a huge game, but he looked good and he was getting those targets in jail. I was absolutely just screaming in my living room every time. I'm not that stupid is what I was saying every time.
But this is exactly, I was talking about this earlier after week 2. These 3 wide receivers are really they're going to be mixed and matched game to game. You can't really expect Juju to be the one every single week. And I guarantee you that we're not going to see him get 8 targets, 5 receptions every week. Mecole Hardman had 1 target and 1 reception this week. So he got the short stick this week. Who's going to get it next week?
Joey, anything to add?
No, I mean, I love actually what I'm seeing out of Juju because Kelce is who the number 1 option in this offense is. And the fact that we're getting this much out of Juju, I don't think many people were taking him that early either in drafts. So I think whatever you're getting out of Juju, you should be happy with. Yeah,
and Jell, we know Travis Kelce holds the long stick, but whoever's holding the Chiefs short stick, I think still has value, right? If it's the Chiefs short stick, that's still a good stick to be holding. It's probably longer than the Texans long stick.
I mean, the Mecole Hardman, right? He not so good this week, 1.2 fantasy points. So if you're stuck holding that, that's not so good.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm looking to buy Juju, I think. It depends on the cost. I don't think anybody's super hyped for him or anything like that. I would not overpay, but if somebody's frustrated, ready to get rid of him, pick him up then. On the Colts side of the ball, honestly, not a whole lot to talk about. Matt Ryan continued to look mediocre. Both his touchdowns came off of mistakes from Kansas City. Jonathan Taylor had a disappointing day, but he'll be fine. Same with Michael Pittman. He led the team in targets, catches, receiving yards, but the 2 touchdowns went to Jelani Woods. Just chalk it up for one of those weeks. It's going to happen, especially in fantasy football. Better days are ahead for him as well. And unless you guys have anything to add for this game, that's pretty much it.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yep.
I just want to say one last thing. What the hell? Like just yet again, the Colts, after getting blown out by the Jaguars, come out and beat the Chiefs. This season's broken, and I love every single thing about it. It's been such a fun season. Like, the undefeated teams left that we're looking at are the Dolphins, the Giants. Like, is that it? Who else is left undefeated? I think it's just
Eagles.
the Dolphins.
No, the Eagles.
And the Eagles. Yeah, that's right. Because the Buccaneers fell today, so it's just
good,
Dolphins,
man.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Giants,
Thanks for
and
bringing
Eagles. Yeah, it was the Buccaneers too, but they lost today, and they are no longer undefeated. The next game we're going to be talking about is the Saints Panthers game. Before we do that, though, we had some questions in the chat that I wanted to make sure that we hit. Albert in here saying, do you think I can get 30 points from Sutton and Lamb, full PPR? Jay, what do you think? Give them a percentage
100%.
chance of winning. 100%.
No,
Whoa.
not 100% chances of winning. 100% that can happen.
Oh,
That was coming out before you said give him a percentage. I will say it's a solid 50-50 shot. We, like Joey said earlier, we haven't seen any sort of consistency from Denver this year. I do think Sutton's going to wind up being the guy before long. And CeeDee Lamb, you really just don't know what to expect with Cooper Rush under center. You know, he's obviously the best wide receiver on the field tomorrow. So he could easily break a long touchdown. I give you a solid 50-50 shot.
50-50 shot. Joe, you think Albert's going to win?
I think 50-50 is pretty fair. I would put these guys probably right around 30 points in full PPR. I think maybe I'll give you 52%.
Joey Tyson in here wanted to know, would you trade Chase and I get CMC? Their other running backs are Barkley, Patterson, Pierce, and Hunt. So they got decent running backs in there, but would you trade Jamar Chase for CMC?
Because you have Barkley, Patterson, Pierce, and Hunt, I think you're fine at running back. So he'd be getting CMC?
Yeah, trading away Jamar Chase.
I would be keeping Chase.
I'm not,
because of your team build.
I'm exactly.
It depends who you
have
have at wide receiver. I think that would affect it for me, but I agree with Joey on principle without knowing that info.
I mean, he has the running back one in the league this year, and Damien Pierce. So, you know.
I immediately thought Patterson as soon as you said that. I was like, yeah, you're right.
That's where Simon's man went.
It's actually
I love nothing more than everyone discounting Patterson all off season because, like, no, of course you can't do it again. And he's just like, I'm back. Like, he's like doing
I drafted him
again.
Everywhere
too.
I got him because it was just constant value. Every single time I hit that point in the draft where I wanted to draft him, every time I hit Cordell Patterson, he popped right back up. Every time I hit that point in the draft, I was like, oh my God, how is he still here? Of course I'll take Cordell Patterson.
Yeah.
McSweet has a question for us. And McSweet, I love the context you gave us. You broke down the matchup, what you need. So they've got a question. Should I start Judy or Jeff Wilson in PPR? I'm up 12. He has Devonte Williams and Sutton. So they're up 12 right now, going up against Williams and Sutton. Need to know if they should start Judy or Jeff Wilson. JL, who are you starting here? Judge Judy or Jeff?
Oh, God, this sucks. Do we know Jerry Judy? He was going to be a game time decision, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I believe he's expected to play from what I heard. I haven't seen it. Let's see if we can find that.
Oh, I wish I had looked that up recently because that was something that was worrying me. I think I would take Jeff Wilson without any more information on that.
He's active for the game. He is active.
I knew
he's
he was
not on
active.
the inactive list.
And I think he was going he was going to see how he felt in warmups. So keep an eye on that. I mean, that of course that'll affect how you feel. But I would go Jeff Wilson if you really, really need just like a crazy upside play. Maybe go Judy, but that risk is too high.
He doesn't need a crazy upside play. He's up 12. I know he's going up against Javonte Williams and Sutton.
You know what? Jeff Wilson isn't not an upside play. So I take that back. Go Jeff Wilson.
I agree with everything you said, except for Jeff Wilson isn't not an upside play.
Exactly.
I think Jeff Wilson is like the definition of not an upside play in my mind. And watch, now he's going to go off for like 40 points tonight. Yeah. JL already nailed the Marvin Jones and Zay Jones double touchdown call earlier today. Maybe I shouldn't be questioning your takes on this Sunday, but I would start Jeff Wilson because anytime a player's a decision in warmups, Like, that's where I draw the line. Okay. Like, maybe I started J.K. Dobbins, but I'm not shoving a Judy into my lineup that's not even certain if they're going to play until 5 minutes before the game. We had a question in here from Zom. I think a follow-up on his Eckler question. Want to know, should I trade Eckler for James Robinson? No, no. Eckler's a much better player in a much better situation. I know it's been disappointing, but hold on. Remember why you drafted Eckler so much higher. Jay, I see you nodding along. Do you agree?
Yep, 100%. I love what James Robinson is doing. I traded for him in a league today, but I would not give up Austin Eckler for him.
Absolutely. In this Saints-Panthers game today, guys, honestly, not a great game, and I'm not sure how much we should take away from this. The Saints defense looked great again against Baker Mayfield, kind of shutting him down, and Baker Mayfield yet again continues to struggle. 170 yards, 1 touchdown through the air, completed less than half of his passes, 12 for 25.
Hold on. Who caught that touchdown?
We'll get there, Jay. Come on. Don't put the horse before the wagon. We're
I
talking
have
Baker
to.
Mayfield first. We're talking Baker Mayfield. I'm not sure who caught the touchdown, and it seems that it's not on the screen right now either. So we'll have to get to that eventually. No, Baker Mayfield looked rough, and the more I'm sitting here, the more I'm concerned for these receiving options. The main receiving option the concern extends to is DJ Moore, who has something like 8 receptions through the first 3 weeks of the season. This is a guy who was targeted 163 times last year. That's where he made his money. And he's just not seeing the volume this year. In today's game, DJ Moore had 6 targets, but only turned it into 1 reception for 2 yards. I saw this asked multiple times on Twitter. It seems preposterous to say out loud, but I'm going to ask you guys, is DJ Moore droppable at this point?
No, he's not droppable. You can put him on your bench if you're that uncomfortable and you have someone that you feel comfortable starting in his place, but do not drop DJ Moore. It's been 7 weeks that Baker's been in Carolina. I do have some confidence that Baker's going to turn this around a little bit. It's very troubling. Yes, I agree, but do not drop DJ Moore.
Yep, I'm with Joey. And even if Baker doesn't turn it around, Sam Darnold is expected back sometime in the next few weeks. If Baker, that's basically what Baker Mayfield's doing. So if Baker continues to struggle this badly, we could see Darnold. And yes, he's not anything special, but DJ Moore at least had a solid season with him last year. 100% agree with what Joey said. Bench him, do not drop him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never drop a player who has the highest target share on the team. You just don't. And he's got 23.4% target share of this offense. So it's an offensive issue. And all you can do is hold and hope that he's able to get right.
I agree with you guys. I fully agree with you guys. I just wanted to ask it because I know that's a question people are asking right now. It's been 3 disappointing weeks in a row, and this offense has given us nothing to hope for. But, Jay, it did give you a little something to hope for. It was a couple years late on how excited you were for him, but Laviska Shenault Jr., welcome to the Carolina Panthers. 2 targets, 2 receptions, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Jay, how much fab should you be spending on Laviska Shenault, and why is it 100%?
100%. Spend it all. Use your top waiver priority. Sell your firstborn child. Do whatever it takes to get Laviska Shenault. No. It was, for us Visca truthers out there, it was awesome to see. I have no confidence in Laviska doing anything on a consistent basis. Don't waste your fab. Don't waste anything on Laviska Shenault. I love him with all my heart, but this was just, he broke a long play.
JL, I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
Laviska Shenault has seen 2 targets this season. Who has more receiving yards on the year? Laviska Shenault or DJ Moore?
DJ Moore.
It is Laviska Shenault. DJ Moore has 88 receiving yards through these first 3 games. Laviska Shenault with 90 receiving yards in just this game already has more receiving. Like, that just illustrates how bad of a start it has been for DJ Moore. The rushing side of the ball for the Panthers, it's what you expected. Christian McCaffrey is Christian McCaffrey, 25 carries, 108 yards. Glad to see that they're finally using him in this offense. You like to see him a little bit more involved in the receiving game, but the Panthers had the lead most of the time here, right? They didn't have to throw the ball. They were trying to run the clock out, and CMC's their dude. I was just excited to see him actually being used. On the other side of the ball, this was just rough sledding for the Saints all day, it felt like, offensively. Jameis Winston was playing with that back injury that we knew about, and I do think it affected him a little bit. But we saw some just like some Jameis Winston, right? Threw a couple bad picks, threw some bombs. Like, he looked like the Jameis that we saw in Tampa Bay a little bit more. 25 for 41, 353 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. But you would think with that stat line, maybe with that amount of yards, that maybe they would have had more points coming out of halftime, but it was just rough. They had a fumble recovery by Alvin Kamara, or a fumble that was recovered for a touchdown from Alvin Kamara in this one. They had a blocked field goal, a missed field goal as well. Just wasn't their day offensively, and that's why the Panthers won this game. Now, Alvin Kamara fumbled the ball, had 15 carries for that 61 yards, and hasn't been the player that people probably drafted him to be so far this season. And the Saints offense hasn't looked maybe like what people expected it to look like through this season. Jay, if you've got Alvin Kamara, are you holding, or is this a player that you're trying to trade away while you can?
I'm holding unless I can get running back 1 in return. I am concerned for Alvin Kamara. You do have to like that he did get the 7 targets. Decent day on the ground, 61 yards, 15 carries is, more than he generally gets. So that's not too shabby, but I'm just concerned long-term. I don't know what the Saints offense is going to look like by the end of the year. Michael Thomas wound up getting banged up again. Jameis Winston is banged up. What happens if Michael Thomas is off the field and then Andy Dalton's the starter? The only guy I'm really interested in this offense is Chris Olave.
Yeah, and that was the next player I wanted to bring up. He saw 13 targets in this game. It's the second time he's been that heavily targeted this season. Is Chris Olave taking over as the wide receiver 1 on this team? I know Michael Thomas had some injury issues in today's game as well, but do you guys think we'll see Chris Olave as the target leader come end of year for the Saints team?
I don't. I think Michael Thomas still has 1 more year left and as the target leader for the Saints. This Saints offense, though, looks like a Jameis Winston offense. That's points in the fourth quarter and nothing else. And that's what you get when you have Jameis as your quarterback, sadly.
Yeah, absolutely. Outside of Olave, though, the receiving options here, pretty uninspiring. I'm not trying to start Jarvis Landry. If Michael Thomas is injured, you're likely not trying to plug him into your lineup either. You're really just hoping for better days offensively for the Saints. Jay, do you think this Saints team can get it going offensively, or do you think this is going to be similar to what we see rest of season? Because I think the success of these pieces relies on that, right?
Be a lot of, I do like Chris Olave. I think he is going to be the target leader by the end of the season. Michael Thomas, if he's able to stay in the field, is definitely going to be involved as well. But he's already hurt, and they said while it wasn't his ankle, it was his knee, but it could potentially be related because all that stuff down there is all connected and kind of works together.
Your knee bone's connected to your shin bone, your shin bone's connected to your ankle bone. See, there's only one bone in between. It's so connected.
Right. It's actually one giant bone. I did not want to say that. But yeah, I think this is pretty much what you're going to see. And I think Olave is going to see the most volume. Like Joey said, being a Buck fan, he knows Jameis is willing to chuck the ball. And while it may be ugly in real life for fantasy, it's fine. So whoever's on the field, whether it be Michael Thomas, Olave, Landry, I think you're okay starting them. But the guy, like I said, I want the most is Olave.
We got Craig in here saying DJ needs more targets. Oh my God. I read that 10 times, Craig. And it wasn't until I read it out loud on the screen that I saw that it was more the last name. You got me. All is good. God had a question for. I said, oh, that's not what it says at all. Man, that says Ali Boss God. Should I trade Eckler and Higgins for Jefferson? JL, are you trading Eckler and Higgins for Jefferson?
No, I'm not. I'd rather keep Austin Eckler and T. Higgins. I think collectively they're going to provide more value than Justin Jefferson can to your team. I don't think he's going to separate himself so much from them that it's going to be even close to double the value because those are two top guys, especially where you drafted them. The only time I'm making this move is if you are somehow in a ridiculously stacked 4 to 6 team league, in which case go ahead and make that move.
Yep. Yeah. That was literally what I was doing on my head is how many teams need to be in this league for me to make this trade? And 6 was the number I landed on.
Wow, you guys are so in sync right now.
I know.
You guys are just
We're actually
finishing
holding
each other.
hands underneath the table. So we're right across from each other.
Ooh, that's not my hand or JL's hand.
Thank God that's not your hand.
The next game we're talking about is the Chicago Bears Houston Texans game. The Chicago Bears somehow now 2-1 through 3 weeks after beating the Texans 23-20.
Just like we all expected. The Chicago
Just
Bears.
like the Buccaneers, right? I think it's the same record that the Buccaneers have, if I'm not mistaken.
They are the same team, right, Joey?
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for my moment
Right,
during
Joey?
this game
Justin-
to cheer
Yeah,
and celebrate.
May look better than Tom Brady too.
Yeah.
Man, this game was fun. So I did not expect it to be as fun as it was. But the Chicago Bears pulled it out. They just whipped it out in Houston there. 23-20. Started off like a pretty good game. Houston at the half. Houston had 14. Chicago had 13. Going into this game, the total was 39.5. And they certainly hit the over on that. The spread was 3 points. And man, perfect. Well done, Vegas. Well done with that. Well done with the spread. On the Chicago side of the ball, we had Justin Fields at 8 completions on 17 attempts, 106 yards, 6.9 fantasy points this week. Another stinker from Justin Fields.
I'm done.
Are you? It? Is that it?
I'm done. It's not a Justin Fields. I'm just so confused that yet again there's another coaching staff in here that seems like they don't want Justin Fields to succeed. Like they're having him throw the ball 17 times a game. They're not setting him up well. The organization didn't do anything to help him this offseason. Like all the moves that they made, their high draft capital picks were on the defensive side of the ball. Justin Fields, I would not be shocked to see him end up on a new team next season, and I'm excited to see him there. I can't wait to see Justin Fields on whatever team the Bears end up trading him for, because I don't think they view him as the answer, and I'm done starting him. Like I give up on this Bears team. I know
Take
it's
him on
3
the
weeks,
Giants.
but God, just
how much can we put on the coaching staff here? Like how much is the distribution of responsibility or responsibility here? Is it the coaching staff? Is it Justin Fields? And what's that balance look like?
I mean, I guess the coaching staff did one positive thing this week that I liked, and that was giving more carries to the running back that was killing it on the ground for them, right? Like we've been watching David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert each get like over 7 yards a carry through the first couple weeks, and they've been giving them 8-9 carries, not the first week in the monsoon game, but week 2. This week, Khalil Herbert's sitting there with 20 carries. It looked
Montgomery got
great.
hurt. That's why Herbert got all those carries.
Yeah. Montgomery went down with an injury in this game, so Herbert stepped up and man, he looked good again.
I dropped 10 minutes before game time in one of my most important leagues.
Oh no. Yeah, 20 carries for 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, which is a career high for him. Career high. He looked great last year when we saw him. And I feel like the whole fantasy community got hyped, right? Like Khalil Herbert, he's the guy. How much are you spending of your fab budget on Khalil Herbert this week?
Definitely depends on how long David Montgomery's out for. If he's out for an extended period of time, honestly, I would be willing to spend 75 to 100% depending on your team needs. I think we've seen him do it long enough. If he's going to get the touches in an offense that obviously wants to run the ball, that's going to be like Simon said, this team doesn't want Justin Fields to throw the ball. It looks like they want to win with rushing the ball, with defense. And if he's going to get those touches, I think Khalil Herbert could put up high-end RB2 numbers if he's getting all the work.
Every year there's a week where the waiver wire, where there's a guy that will win you your league. If we hear that David Montgomery's out for more than like 3 weeks, this is the guy that will win you your league. Go out and get him, spend 100% if you need to, because David Montgomery's a free agent after this year. And Khalil Herbert can just run away with this job, especially after we saw from him today. Now, I know it's against Houston, but if Khalil Herbert's out there on your waiver wire, go get him.
It doesn't matter if it's against Houston. If you average almost 8 yards a carry on 20 carries, that's a really great game, right? Like I know he had some long runs to anchor that, but that's a pretty high sample size. That's a lot of carries to average that high. I kind of agree with you, Joey. I think this is the kind of player, not guaranteeing that he holds on to that job when David Montgomery comes back, but you're right. This is the kind of player that could. You can write that narrative, and it's not an unlikely one that you see happen. I also want to shout out to our boy Dustin, who was
Hey,
all
Dustin.
aboard the Khalil Herbert hype train all offseason. He was telling everyone to draft Khalil Herbert. He didn't jump off. He was in, and it's looking like he was a little bit right.
I am dying inside right now for dropping him before the start of this game and all this positive stuff. So just wanted to go out.
That's a bad beat.
Fab to get him back, or does he have to clear waivers before he can get him back?
Well, I spent all my fab on Jimmy G last week because I lost Trey Lance, so I'm not getting him back.
Ouch. Of course, Khalil Herbert was the only one who really got fantasy points in this game because, like Simon was saying, Justin Fields didn't really throw much. If Justin Fields isn't going to be successful, then it's unlikely any of these pass catchers are successful either. What are you guys doing with the pass catching options here in Chicago? Are you dropping them, Mooney, Kmet? I know there's two different tiers of guys, but
Matt,
are you dropping both of them?
Kmet, you can drop because you really should only roster one tight end, and he's not startable right now. So, Kmet is droppable for me. Mooney, I'm probably not dropping. I'm probably putting on my bench, and I know I said him out, but I'm just crossing my fingers that maybe they figure something out with this offensive passing game by the end of the year because Mooney still should be the main target. He's the best wide receiver on this team. Sorry, Equinemius St. Brown.
Yeah, Kmet's definitely a drop. When it comes to Darnell Mooney, I think it really depends on your league size, what your bench looks like. A lot of leagues have short benches, especially redraft leagues. If you've only got 5-6 bench spots, Mooney's droppable. I'm not looking to get rid of him, but if you've got guys on the waiver wire, like an Olave, like a Khalil Herbert, I think Mooney is more than droppable.
You dropping him, Joey?
Darnell Mooney?
Yeah.
No. I mean, he should be the number one target. Anyone that can get to become the number one target on their team, I try to hold on to them if I have the bench space. And in most leagues, I would have enough bench space for Darnell Mooney. I'm not letting him go.
All right, that's fair. On the other side of this ball, we had Houston, Damien Pierce.
Woo!
He had his game. Joey, I will give you your...
okay? Hold on.
Yeah. I was holding it in.
That is not Joey's hand you're holding, JL.
Oh, sorry. Microphone got a little dislodged there.
One Damien Pierce touchdown is all it takes for Joey's microphone to get dislodged.
Imagine if Damien Pierce got a touchdown.
Yeah. So 20 carries, 80 yards, 1 touchdown. Is this a matchup or Damien Pierce arrived? Is he going to sustain this?
I think this is what you can expect from him every week as far as the number of carries. Now, 80 yards and a touchdown, I'd like to see that. Hopefully a little bit more. I liked what I saw out of him. I really did. I was super happy. The whole Wright household was bouncing when Damien Pierce got his touchdown.
Yeah, it looks like Rex Burkhead's kind of taking on that receiving backs role. Know what I mean? We saw week 1, and we were like, what the hell is going on here? Well, now it's kind of playing out. Give it a couple weeks. Looks like it's settling. Damien Pierce is going to be the main guy. And then Rex Burkhead gets a little bit more work in the receiving game. And all is good in the world. Mm-hmm. Something that makes sense.
Something that makes sense, finally.
It's beautiful.
Any other thing that stands out to you guys on the Texans side before we move on? Nope.
Nope. Before we jump into our next game, I did want to update everybody. We ran a week 3 FanDuel contest today. Everyone was eligible to join. And if you came in first place, you were going to take home your choice of item from the Front Yard Fantasy merch shop. All games are over now, so we should have a pretty good idea of who won that. I've got it pulled up. Do you guys know who the winner is? Have you checked?
I think it's JL, isn't it?
I was leading at some point, but I haven't
winner
checked.
Of the tournament today by about 4 points was John Luke Garofalo. Suck it, everyone in the chat. No one gets nothing this week.
And JL, you don't have to do a pie to the face.
Yes. Oh, because double or nothing.
Double or nothing. You don't have to do a pie to the face.
I didn't know that was what it was for, but I'm glad about it now that I've won.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say thank you for saving the company in between $30 and $60 depending on the item. I really appreciate it. You just earned money. How does that feel?
It feels great. But really what is more important to me than saving money is beating y'all's tushes. Because
don't look at my score.
Where'd you end, Simon?
I'm sure I did pretty good. I'm sure it was like
you were last, and then all of a sudden you popped back.
I'm fourth to last. I'm fourth to last in this one, is where I ended up. So that's not good. 14 out of 17 is where I ended up in this one. Not great, Bob. It started out strong. We were sitting there in the top 5, and now I'm sitting down just sniffing the bottom over and over and over again.
Sniffing the bottom.
Next week, I'm not sniffing any bottoms, though. I'm sniffing that top. I'm coming to your spot next week. Also, Brandon, absolutely not. I will never shut up.
Never.
But thanks for your suggestion. I really appreciate it. If you got any more, just let us know. Dick. You guys want to go into our next game? Our next game that we're talking about here is the Lions versus the Vikings. The Vikings ended up pulling this one out 28-24. But the Lions showed up yet again.
Yeah, the Lions had a chance to go up by 6 points with a minute and 14 seconds to go. But an Austin Seibert missed field goal gave the Vikings excellent field position. The Vikings then drove 56 yards down the field, capped off by 2 KJ Osborne receptions, the last one being 28 yards for a touchdown. And I believe they were actually both 28-yard receptions because he had 56 yards in that last drive. Dalvin Cook did leave the game with an apparent shoulder injury, but he was shown on this bench holding his wrist. Pro Football Talk reported that Cook will play next week, but just to be safe, is Alexander Mattison the presumed number 1 waiver priority if he's not already rostered in your league, or would that be Khalil Herbert?
I mean, if we get clarity on this Dalvin Cook news, then maybe Alexander Mattison jumps up those rankings a little bit. But I think Herbert would still be the main priority for me because I see a path to him being the main guy rest of season. I don't see that path for Mattison. And we've played this game with Mattison before, right? Where Dalvin Cook's out and it seems like a slam dunk start. And it happens sometimes, but it's not like a guarantee Madison's suddenly going to be an RB1 whenever Dalvin Cook's out. He's not the same back. So I'm still prioritizing Herbert. But Madison, if Dalvin Cook is going to miss, should be rostered, should be added.
Perfect. So Kirk Cousins was 24 for 41 with 260 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked pretty indecisive and frustrated most of the game, though, until the very end when he looked very happy because they won the game. Dalvin Cook had 96 yards and 17 attempts with a TD. I guess we'll wait to see on his injury. Adam Thielen, 6 receptions, 61 yards, and a touchdown. He led the team in receptions, and it was the 50th touchdown of his career. Yay, Adam Thielen. This might be the last year of his career, so that's a nice
Joey, I have to
milestone
give you credit. You were telling me all weekend that he was your start of the week, so you called a good game from Adam Thielen. Bravo for that. I just want to give you props.
He was the last segment of the morning show this morning we were supposed to get to, and Adam Thielen was who I was going to talk about. And I felt bad because I didn't get to talk about him because I would have won all those people money. So not really. KJ Osborne, 5 receptions for 73 yards and a touchdown. He led the team in yardage. And Justin Jefferson, 3 receptions for 14 yards. Are we concerned about Jefferson, or is this just one of those days?
We're just sad about Jefferson.
We're just sad. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Very good way to put it.
Yeah. The Lions were 4 for 6 on 4th downs in this game. The aggressive play from Dan Campbell is exciting. The Lions are turning into a team I really kind of like watching, especially the last 3 weeks. Jamal Williams, 22 total touchdowns for 107 total yards, 2 touchdowns, and 5 hip throsts. I don't know if you saw the touchdown.
Yeah, it was hot. It was
that hit with the Hingle McCringleberry. Just one too many.
He's the absolute star of the Lions for this game. DeAndre Swift, 10 total touches for 46 yards. How should fantasy managers treat this backfield going forth? What do you guys think?
DeAndre Swift is still the guy. I mean, he's a little bit banged up. I said it a few weeks ago, and while I still love DeAndre Swift, I think he's likely to finish in the top 5 of running backs. I do think this usage that Jamal Williams is getting does cap his potential for that RB1. Now, are you going to be upset about getting, a potential top 5 guy? Absolutely not. But it has to be somewhat concerning that he's getting the usage inside the red zone.
Yeah.
I view it kind of like an AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones type of situation where I think both of these backs, maybe like diet AJ Dillon. I don't think Jamal Williams has earned as much of a role in this offense when DeAndre Swift is healthy as AJ Dillon has when Aaron Jones is healthy. But you're going to see both of these backs used. They like using both of them, and Jamal Williams is a great player. So I think he's a guy that you can actually flex most weeks, right? He's got a decent chance at a touchdown with the way this offense has been moving, but Swift is still the dude. Swift is the man. Swift is the guy who's going to get the bulk of these carries.
I mean, I think Detroit likes their leader. I mean, they see Jamal Williams as a leader, and it's showing. Jared Goff, 25 for 41, 277 passing yards, and a touchdown, 1 interception. He's looked really good the last 3 weeks. When you're coming into bye weeks, it's someone I would actually be kind of excited to have on my team. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6 receptions for 73 yards, and he was this week's victim of the big play Jamal Williams TD run. The last few weeks, DeAndre Swift has had a big run, and then Jamal Williams cashes in the red zone. Josh Reynolds, JL, kudos to you. 6 receptions, 96 yards, led the team in receiving yardage. Josh Reynolds has had a touchdown the last week and then 10 targets this week. Is Josh Reynolds a player you want to have on your fantasy bench?
This is more of a you said fantasy bench.
Yeah.
Specifically, like, do I want to bench him, or do you saying, like, do I want to stash him?
Do you want to stash him?
Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Yeah,
Bench is a compliment for some players, but an insult for others.
Yeah.
Like for DJ Moore, we're knocking him down a peg when we say bench him, but for Josh Reynolds, it's knocking him up a peg.
It's knocking him up a peg. Yeah, no, I mean, he's someone. This Detroit Lions offense has looked fantastic this year.
Mm-hmm.
Defense is not so great, but their offense has looked very good. Amon-Ra St. Brown is, man, that guy's the truth. And Josh Reynolds, if he's number 2 on this offense that plays pretty well, I think, yeah, he should be someone that you might be able to put on your bench. See if, between him, DJ Shark, which of these guys pan out. I know Coop would probably go Shark in that, DJ Shark in that, but I think he's worth it.
Now, I did just want to add something on Amon-Ra. If you're watching this game, he did leave the game injured for a little bit, but all reports are looking like he's totally okay. He came back into this game, so just let out a breath. It's all good. Amon-Ra St. Brown healthy. Should be fine. There was a couple of those this week, wasn't there? Like, it wasn't just Amon-Ra St. Brown. There were Garrett Wilson was another one that went down. Yeah, it was a little bit rough, but glad most of these guys came back onto the field.
Awesome.
Cool. We are about to kick off Sunday Night Football. Before that game starts, though, we did it last week. We took predictions on who was going to be the winner. We're going to do it again this week, but I believe we have some bets to pay out on. Jay, I believe you and I were on the losing end of that bet last week. JL correctly predicted the winner of Monday Night Football. You and I did not. Sunday Night Football. You did, JL. Can you believe it?
Oh, I can't.
You're on a roll.
He doesn't remember it.
We have to make animal noises to pay out our bet. Joey, JL, between each of you, you guys can each pick one of our animals. We'll make the noise, and then we're going to predict tonight's game winner. Same thing on the line for next week.
Oh, you got one, Joey?
Simon, you will be making the sound of a giraffe in heat. Go ahead.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no problem. I was just watching this YouTube video earlier.
What are you watching on YouTube?
Drafts in heat. I just told you. Like, were you not listening, you idiot?
No, it wasn't.
That was the length of the neck in there that you heard, like the little waffles. Like, it's like as it comes up the neck, you get some of that in there.
Chilly, like it wasn't in heat.
Oh, that's because winter and summer are different in the hemisphere in which giraffes live, JL. So heat and cool also mean opposite.
That worked out a lot better than I was expecting.
Joe, what's Jay going to be making here?
All right, Jay, make for me you know what? I'm going to go with Maria's right in here. Hungry vulture. Make the sound of a hungry vulture.
Hungry vulture.
You just found yourself
hungry,
a nice
hungry vulture.
The eyes.
The mouth noises while you did it were disgusting. Just like like the little.
That was a greedy little bird.
Can I make
disgusting.
Can I make the sound of a hungry vulture too?
No.
If you lose, Joey, I promise.
If you lose,
you can do
yeah.
it. We're going to make predictions on this game. It's the San Francisco 49ers at the Denver Broncos. The 49ers are 1.5-point favorites on the road. The total for this game is set at 44.5. I'll lead us off this week on my prediction on who I think is going to win this game. I said earlier, I have no idea what the hell to do with the Broncos, so I'm going to do nothing with them, and I'm going to say the 49ers are going to win this game. With George Kittle back, they get that offense rolling with Jimmy G, George Kittle. Brandon Ayuk has himself a week as well. And the 49ers end up winning this game 24-17. We don't have to give a score. I'm just doing that because I'm a little extra.
Because I'm not.
JL, What's your prediction?
I'll take Broncos.
Broncos for JL. Jay, what about you?
Going Broncos as well. I think Russ finally cooks.
Broncos. Joey? We got 2 Broncos and 1 49ers.
Broncos 17, San Francisco 9. Low scoring affair tonight.
Oh, Joey, why would you even put that
Please
into
don't.
existence?
It's
Boo.
You know what? I am looking forward to next week whenever I get to watch all 3 of you guys make animal noises in here. Adam is on my side as well. Said 49ers win. Me and Adam, we're rolling on the 49ers side here. And we got Rico in the chat saying hilarious. Must be talking about your hungry vulture, Jay, because my giraffe and heat left a little bit to be desired. Guys, thank you everyone who tuned in and hung out with us today. Sunday Night Football is about to kick off, set for 7:20. This should be kicking off any moment now. Go enjoy that game. If you enjoyed hanging out with us here, though, head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. Make sure you're subscribed and check us out on our morning show tomorrow morning, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time. You can find it right there on our YouTube channel. And if you're here watching this video, like it and make sure you're subscribed to FanDuel on YouTube. Follow them on Facebook. Follow them on that Twitch. If you're over on the Purple platform, they have a whole team of killer content creators helping you guys win your leagues and win some cash. JL, one piece of wisdom to leave everybody with on this Sunday night.
All right. Happy wife, happy life.
That's it for us this Sunday, guys. Enjoy your kickoff. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning.